So we are ready to go live. It's all kinds of fun. Oh, what are you drinking this morning? Just cheering it on up.
Today, just water. I am well caffeinated. 2 cups.
This is my official first cup, as you can tell, because I'm all tongue-tied. So we will do that as we warm up. Right. I promise I won't go fast. I promise I'm only drinking it slowly but surely. But if those of you who are logging in, we are so glad you're here. So please be sure to join us. So as everyone's logging in, we'll get started. You can sip up on your water. So it'll be all kinds of fun today. We're going to have a good time talking about getting over yourself. I was actually just talking to another gentleman before we hopped on that he's like, I love that idea of getting over yourself. I said, I know, right? He's like, people are just too caught up in themselves.
It's our biggest thing. All eyes on us. Not
crazy. And we are live. So this is all kinds of fun. So we are good to go. So let me see. I'm going to pin this to the top. So when people log in, they should see us chatting it up. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are joining us, please be sure to weigh in on the chat and let us know you are here. I love that you are all here and having a lot of fun. So I love this. Perfect. So we are good. A couple people in Greater Cleveland are hoping to hop on. So for those of you joining us, be sure to pop in. I'll give everybody a few minutes to grab their coffee and get going here. I'm loving it. So, welcome, 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 everybody. I am so excited to see you all here. Go ahead and share if you can for me. Comment in the chat if you want. Oh, Christopher, welcome from Metro Detroit. Let us know where you're calling in from. It's awesome. So we've got 2 people, and tag somebody you want to see in this. And I'm going to go ahead and post it out. Yay! Hello, Gwen Sims from Ohio. Good to see you. Chris is coming from Detroit. I'm loving this. Do you know Gwen? Because I don't think I know Gwen.
I do know Gwen.
Love it. Thank you for inviting. Jill's here. Love it. Jill's going to be my guest next week, which is even more fun. So we're going to get everybody rocking and rolling. If you see somebody else you'd love to be here, go ahead and tag them in the chat and say, join us. Are you coming? Do you have your coffee? And we're live on LinkedIn. Who is ready to hashtag get over it? And hashtag get out of your own way. Absolutely. So I'm about to post this for those of you who are hopping on. I'm loving what I'm seeing. So go ahead and drop in the chats where you're joining us from virtually, and make sure to let us know what you're drinking this morning. Tammy is sipping on her coffee. Chris is joining us from Metro Detroit. Oh, and I just realized, yeah, Brenda had a great LinkedIn Live this morning too. Get yourself in your one. This is all kinds of fun. So I'm here with Tammy Olson, who is absolutely fabulous, and I'm going to introduce her in a second. We're live. Who's ready to give her it? And we're about to go live. So I'm going to do comfort zone, growth, LinkedIn Live. You're invited. All right. So we're going to talk about all that fun stuff that we all do, right? To leadership. So we're going to get in. So let's go ahead and dive in if you're joining us. I love this. So I'm going to, entrepreneur. That's another good word, right? We're going to talk about entrepreneurship today too, a little bit in a backwards way, but it's all kinds of fun. So let me introduce everyone to the fabulous Miss Tammy. So Tammy and I connected at a networking event back in like November, December. And then I realized her experience in project management and with an entrepreneurial mind and supporting others in crazy capacities really kind of sparked her idea to start her own business. So I want to say that Tammy has become one of the most delightful conversationalists I get to connect with on LinkedIn, because she's funny and she's smart and she's witty. And one of the things that I think is really insightful is we'll even get back to talking about things we talked about in a previous conversation. She's like, wow, I said that? That was really insightful. And she takes her own advice. So for those of you who don't know Tammy, I'm going to recommend you first and foremost. I want you to definitely connect with Tammy on LinkedIn. Take the time to do that. You can find her at Tammy Olson. Her name is right there as I pull this away. right? So go ahead and connect with her for sure. And then when you're done, you can also follow Northwoods Virtual Solutions. And before she goes green with envy, I'm going to let her explain what Northwoods Virtual Solutions offers for clients. And then we're going to kind of dive in to getting over it. So Tammy, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this conversation because Megan, you are also one of the most delightful conversationalists. We just talk and it's great energy and we come up with new stuff. And that's one of the best things that I discovered in working with clients. So being able to bounce ideas off of each other, it's super, super important. So I'm a consultant. I work with successful small business owners who are feeling the pain of growth. And I say successful because we want to be at that place where there's growth happening, but you might be feeling overwhelmed, like you're dropping balls. Frankly, sometimes I work with clients who are just disappointed in themselves because they can't pull it all together. So there comes a point in everyone's journey, presumably, where our foundational processes are going to be tested and maybe found lacking. So I love working with clients to get through that breakthrough, set the foundation. And in short, I help business owners drive growth without driving themselves crazy.
Absolutely. And I love that. I love that tagline. So one of the things that Tammy celebrates is that idea of sometimes we just have to get over ourselves, right? So we're going to kind of shift back a little bit and we're going to talk through this. So, and I'm sorry, I'm playing around today with some of the StreamYard stuff. And I know if Chris is in the audience, he's going to be like, stop playing. The video is making us nauseous. But we're going to welcome everybody to LinkedIn Live and we're going to dive in. So here's going to be your agenda for today, right? So first, we're going to talk about getting over yourself. And then we're going to talk about kind of just getting going, right? What does that look like? Then we'll stop at the midpoint and we'll do a rapid fire question. And we'll ask her some crazy questions. And as always, you as an audience are welcome to join in. And then we're going to end, as I'm looking at my notes, with some different hacks, because what we see from this is get over it. We're all growing. And that's what we're going to really end with, because at the end of the day, we are all in this community together. And I know some people are exhausted from hearing that series. Oh, we're better together. We're in it together. Well, yes, but guess what? We're all developing. So we might as well do it together. So I want to start with something that is really near and dear to Tammy's heart. I want to ask her to share a little bit about this crazy concept, because you're all showing up on LinkedIn, you're all present, and Tammy is taking her own advice and being visible on my LinkedIn Live today. But tell me a little bit about getting over yourself and being visible. What does that mean?
Well, I've been active in LinkedIn because it was a good corporate thing. Like if you're a good corporate citizen, you're living on LinkedIn and that's fine. And I thought I had that all sorted out. But when I started my own business, there are other platforms that are social platforms that I had largely avoided. Instagram, nothing. I didn't even have an account. Facebook, I was never participating in Facebook, even personally with my family and so forth. So some of the first advice that comes out is everyone's like, oh, start a Facebook page. Oh, do all the things. Oh, put you on Facebook. Like I have my mom and my brother are like it that I was connected with. So this being visible thing is super scary for me. It's not. It doesn't feel natural or normal to me. So I have been taking my own advice. I literally was given a challenge to post a video. I did it wrong. I didn't put it on my business page. I put it on my personal profile. And I guess the point is, when you're in the beginning and you're trying to figure it out, I can say this, be visible, because on the one hand, I'm going to steal this from a coach I work with. On the one hand, nobody's looking, nobody's watching you. And that's the good and the bad news. So if you're going to have to try to figure it out, now would be a good time and work the kinks out. And I'm happy to say that with the video that I posted, I got feedback from a distant cousin's wife, who I don't even know the cousin and I've never met the wife, but she gave me a thumbs up. So that was nice. So nobody's watching, figure it out while you can, because it does become, think about that. I watch videos. I watch people all the time, or I see them show up on social, and that's how I start to pay attention. So as much as I may not feel like I'm ready to do it, kind of do it. Just kind of do it, because you're just going to have to get over it. It does get easier.
How do you think it's helped your business? I'm really curious, because I know for me, it's you just have to be present and you have to show up, right? When people ask you that question, it's be present in the conversation. Yeah. Turn off your phone, flip it over, be there in the moment at the table in the conversation. So what do you think how do you think the being visible and being out there and putting yourself out there has helped?
So it helps you because in this type of world, and we're all, you're in Ohio, I'm in Minnesota, we're engaging with each other and you start to know who you like. Maybe I'd like to work with that person. Maybe that person has something I like to say. Maybe I like their energy. Maybe I don't. It's that. So it's an element of social proof and an awareness to say, oh, that's someone that I could see myself maybe not even working with. I just like her. They're funny. They make me feel good. They tell me things that make sense. And ultimately that will drive and has, I have had people connect the dots for me. That's the other thing is it's not likely that it's a 1-for-1. I don't expect that I'm going to be crushing clients right out of the gate because I did a LinkedIn Live, but it starts the awareness and people go, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I heard her, saw her, liked her, hated her, whatever. That can only happen when you're doing this kind of activity.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things I admire about you is you have this mindset that like, I'm just going to put myself out there and I'm going to learn from it. Good, bad, or indifferent. I'm going to learn from it. And I think mindset is something that you share as you're recruiting for clients for your business, or you're supporting entrepreneurs who are having that pain point of growth is hard. Well, yeah, because growth takes a diligent mindset, right? It takes this idea of recognizing in ourselves, do we have control over our mindset? And I know Jill Wendelsbeck in the who's attending with us today would agree that mindset is one of the most powerful tools we have to really harness. And so I want you to tell a little bit, what is the mindset you have? Like, talk to me about your mindset and how that do you think has contributed to your success, both pre-solopreneur and post-solopreneur? So,
yeah. So pre-solopreneur, decades in corporate, and my mindset, frankly, I didn't give it a whole lot of thought. I got along through my day. My version or my vision of what I was capable of was determined by my job title because someone gave it to me and said, oh, you can do the things. And to a certain extent, my worth would have been identified, or I would have identified with the salary they chose to pay me. And so I was mindful in how I worked with clients. I was mindful in how I worked with my team. I thought I'm always very contemplative. I always take a measured approach. Those are things that are just core to who I am. But it was when I left corporate and all of a sudden I'm like, what? I have to know who I am so I can show up in the right place and show up to really serve people. So what is it that I really can do for them? Who are the types of people that I actually want to work with? So like in corporate, you're stuck working with, whoever you work with. And it's so liberating to say, not only do I want to work with clients who share a similar mindset and sensibility, like I have the ability to put some structure around that. And so my mindset for me, it takes a lot of work. I have a pretty robust morning thing that I go through because it's also kind of you're here by yourself. So you're doing your thing, and I'm glad that we have a chance to connect and talk, but I have to kind of get my head on straight in the morning. And it's all around, what do I want to do? What's my vision? I'm going to do some things today that maybe are hard or scary, but they will be serving this vision that I have for myself. And it's so really, it always comes back to focusing in on, why am I doing this? And that gets me through those, scary times and dumb mistakes.
Well, and I love what you said, because I think that just resonates. And one of the things that Jill just chimed in the chat is she's like, yeah, just take action, right? Yeah, do it, learn it. Nobody is good. No one's good the first time, y'all. I mean, let's look at Sarah Blakely. And if you've heard Sarah Blakely's story, that when she recently sold Spanx, she kept going after countless retail providers and designers to try to get access to it. And I'm so excited. There's a new book I grabbed, and I don't know if I have it handy, but it's about, it's on women entrepreneurs. And one of the things it's called, and I had to chuckle when I grabbed it from Barnes and Noble, but I do have it. I'm going to grab it in a second. And you're going to hear a book fall behind my bookshelf. But it's called Women Who Launch. They shattered glass ceilings, but it took effort, time after time after time, and it talks about Monopoly and Barbie and like all these great ideas. But to your point and Jill's point, right? Just show up, right? And you mentioned something earlier too. I know when we've talked, and I quoted you on it, and it circles back to this idea. And I loved how you said this because I wrote it in my notes once. You said, we can't move forward if we don't have tight control on our mindset. And that was one of the things I had asked you, because as I was looking at the new year and we were kind of I was anticipating, what direction do I go? Do I keep searching out full-time organizations to support? Do I do this? And one thing you mentioned was like, well, you can't move forward in either direction if you don't know, you just have a control in your mindset that I'm going to move forward, whatever lines up in, in action steps I take. You can't move forward unless you have a tight control on your mindset. You just can't. And I think that's so poignant. So if y'all want to write that down, I think it is that fear, right? It's that if you let fear take over your mindset, like Jill says, will stop us every time. Every time. So,
and the tight control. So that in one hand, that makes me feel like I have to have all the answers, and that's not the intention. I think the intention is be aware of that thought process, right? And have a laser focus on, this is what I'm going to do. Because when we spiral in that indecision, so much energy gets burned, so much inactivity. And just take a step, because you can always make another decision. Like, I'm going to go all in here and really double down on it. And if you take a few steps and you're like, well, I kind of feel like I want, just because you decide doesn't mean you can't decide again. The important thing is that you've made a decision to do something, and action creates that clarity.
Oh, I love that alliteration. I'm going to add that. Be a declarative decision maker.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, because I love those. I mean, we don't like the D sound sometimes just in our ears, but be a declarative decision maker, right? And I want us all to take a minute and get over yourself for a second. Look at what you're doing. Look at your action items for today and be like, oh, do I really want to do that? I'm going to be full and transparent, y'all. I have bought all the equipment to have like a little mini workout center downstairs. Do you think I've actually done it? Heavens no. But I got the yoga clothes, and I got the yoga blocks and the mat and the exercise extra, but like, you have to make a decision, right? I'm great about that. And my mom, I'm sure, will chime in at some point and be like, that you got from your father. You buy everything. Like, you buy all the equipment because that's your, like, I look like I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
But you have to be that declared decision maker. I am going to move forward. I am going to start doing yoga or start working out, and build in those accountability partners, because I think that's what helps us get over ourselves, right?
Yep. We can't go it alone. We think we can. And I think that some of us, depending on, I don't know if you start a business, you're an entrepreneur, I think you're already a little bootstrappy. You're going to figure it out. I'm going to tough it out. And it doesn't have, okay, you can, but it doesn't have to be like that. And we do. So here's what we're going to get all, not to get all kumbaya, but sometimes you do need someone to hold you accountable in a gentle, loving way. If I know that I told someone that I'm going to work out tomorrow morning and they're going to check on me at noon, I'm probably going to do it, because we'll disappoint ourselves every day that ends in Y, but we don't like to disappoint other people. It's weird.
Oh, I love that. All right. If you like disappointing other people, go ahead and weigh that in the chat for me. I'd love to know.
I'm going to switch a speaker. I'll be right back.
Yeah, you go switch a speaker. Everybody get a refill on your coffee. But I do have to laugh because Amy said the same. I have to chime in on this one. We're going to pull off a banner. Amy had a great comment, and she said, she's like, oh my gosh, you are going to do yoga. And I've done yoga before. My back never felt better when I was doing it like 2 and 3 times a week. And I was running at the gym twice a week and doing swimming on the other day. But I do have to chime in here. This is my favorite. And God bless my boyfriend. So this is a full disclosure. Like, I love Jill's thing. I need to start doing that again. We need to do yoga together. And I'll give a shout out to so some people in my network who I know are avid gym goers. So I'm going to tag them for sure here in a second. And I know Beth does yoga, and she introduced me to some wonderful Beth Hutker. If you don't know Beth, and Karen and Cindy, Carla Preston gets in like 20,000 steps before she even starts her morning. Like, she has a routine where she walks a certain pattern in her house, like, and covers the whole, like, the woman gets her steps in, for being workout champs, I also know if you tuned into Yolanda, she does Zumba. So I'm going to give Yolanda a shout out. She teaches Zumba.
I might suggest, so you can either sleep in your workout clothes or just work out in your pajamas. I mean, whatever. It's right. long as there's no excuse.
So, right, I just have to get over it and get doing it, right? And that's what I think we're talking about right now is just that shift in mindset, right? Get over yourself and just take the first step, right? The first step is always the hardest, but I think that's always, yeah. And to Jill's point, right? Like I said, God bless Bobby. He bought the health insurance he has at work, gifted them at the end of the year a year-long membership to Peloton and a year-long membership to Apple Fitness.
Oh my God.
So he has these great tools, and I'm like, oh, it's good. I'll do the meditation app. And, you fall asleep in your bed. Yes. But anyway, no, these are all excellent points. So let's kind of shift gears though. So we've talked about this idea of getting over yourself and just moving forward, right? So everybody take a breath and say, I'm going to move forward, right? Because I think that's the biggest part. You just have to be a declarative decision maker and just say, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move forward. Show up. Just show up. It's like at a networking event, at a virtual networking event. I think Chris will chime in with this too. Sometimes all that's important is just being present on anything. You just have to have your camera like your man, right? So get over yourself and be visible. Let's shift gears, like I said. Talk about this, get over it, and then get over yourself. So we talked a little bit about this, right? And Tammy made a comment, and I have to chuckle when she's like, nobody has it figured out.
No.
I love this line, y'all. So do you think any single person predicted the pandemic back in 2020? Really? I mean, what was the joke? There was a meme that was going around that said, okay, y'all, 2021, no one touch anything, or 2022, no one touch anything. No one look at anything. No one just go into the year and don't say any, because we, tunnel vision, right? So tell me a little bit, why is it so important for you to remember to kind of check yourself and laugh at yourself almost? Because I know you and I do that a lot of, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah. So. Well, I, for one, like to spend a lot of time in my head, and there are a lot of scary and wonderful things that happen in our imagination. Unfortunately, we generally think that the worst is going to happen. And so I when I think about getting out of my head, I like the idea. That's the perfect time for me to be reaching out to someone. And to the extent that I intentionally set up networking throughout my week, or, having one-on-ones with new people, it really does help me, because when I talk to someone or when I'm meeting someone, I do want to know about them. I really do. And it gets me out of my whatever is going on with me, and I can just hear them. And I love the act of active listening with someone else. And I always pick up something, and I'll hear them say something like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. I should think about that. It just breaks the spiral that I can get into. And so that's where being present, really listening to what people are saying, and coming from a place of curiosity helps me tremendously in getting over myself.
I like that. And I think that's a great visual. If we all took a minute to really visualize that active listening and leaning into others can absolutely break your spiral downward. I think that's a really important thing to think about, right? So if we talk about that, think about the one-on-ones you're setting up, and who are you setting those up with weekly? That's one of my other things. Pick your tribe, right? Pick your team, pick your network, whatever you want to refer to it as. Pick your champions, pick your cheerleaders, because I know there are certain people we need to call in when we need uplifted or we need a harsh reality check. But the same thing goes back to what you said, right? Is if you ask yourself, well, when are the times I do need to get over myself, right? And when we're talking about that, I remember certain moments where I'm like, oh my God, it's the imposter syndrome. It's self-fulfilling prophecy. It's we talk about it all day, every day, right? But it's what does that look like? Who are you setting up those one-on-ones with, and how often are you setting them up? And how often are you just taking a minute to process? I know one of the things that I have found, and I don't know if you're seeing this, sometimes I have to draw the line at one-on-ones. I really have to take a step back and go, okay, y'all, I need time to just be me, to process, to clear my head, to resonate, because there's so many voices on my head that it's just like...
It's crowded in there.
It gets crowded in there, right? And then you just have to, or you have to block off time to when people are allowed to meet with you, right?
Yep.
I do my best creative first thing in the morning, and it's completely evident. So what about you? How do you map out your day? I guess I'm curious. How do you get over pleasing everybody else? That's a question we didn't talk about.
Ooh.
But I'm throwing at you a curveball.
You are. Yeah. So I have some thoughts on that. I'm not surprised.
I has thoughts on everything, y'all. Just in case y'all didn't realize it. If you need an opinion or a thought, Tammy has it. Go ahead.
I do have a lot of thoughts. There are people who are way more, I'm using all my big words today. There are people who are way better at people pleasing than me. So I don't have a problem with that as much as others that I know, which actually the point of frustrates me. I'm like, seriously, why? Like, no is a complete sentence. I'm the person that my people come to when they're like, I need someone to help me say no. And we'll talk about it. And why do you think you need to say yes? And what happens if you say it? Like, we'll do that work. But for myself, I do want to, if someone wants to meet me, so okay, I'm gonna pause here.
That's a post real quick. So I wrote that for you. No is a complete sentence.
Yes. I initially, when I was starting out, and I am still starting out, like full disclosure, 2 years in. So I am certainly in the starting out. I have also run into those times where I am having one-on-ones with people all over the place because they want a piece of, it serves them for some reason, or in some cases, they're trying to get their number of one-on-ones that they're going to have. Like, they weren't quality one-on-ones where it was a good fit. And so be intentional. I do set up time. So for myself, I actually have an hour a day blocked that I consider networking time. Now, I need to move that because that's never working out for everyone else. But I literally do have in my ideal schedule time built in. I have not managed Calendly to the point where people can only book for that 1 hour, because that wouldn't make an ounce of sense. It doesn't serve. But I do have it intentionally 30 minutes to an hour a day. I reserve for myself to be having a one-on-one conversation with someone. I also do some networking, that are bigger chunks of time and group networking. So that takes another piece of the kind of puzzle out. Absolutely. But I do have it set.
Well, and I think that's a parameter, right? And I think you said something poignant there about be intentional. Is it quality or quantity? What do you want? Know your goals, right?
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with quantity. There are times when you do just need to generate a certain amount of energy that comes from talking to anybody. You don't know where everything's going to land. So
absolutely
balance them, but have a strategy. Yes, because there will come a point when you're like, I literally need to actually, do my work or, serve my clients. I can't be chatting to everyone all the time.
No, and I think it's so well said. And I think Jill weighs in on that too. I mean, it's one of those things that we talk about a lot. And I know having those goals, because people pleasing is a big challenge for a lot of people. I've gotten better about it, but I know talking to my sister too, we talk about this. Are you being the person they want you to be, or are you being you? Right.
Oh, ooh.
Right. Power question coming from the younger sister. Shout out to the younger sister. You will not find her on LinkedIn, social media, or Facebook. But yeah, she's a power question person. She's very direct. She's much more direct than I can be. And I love her for that. But we all have those champions in our life. So let's kind of pause. So we're almost at the halfway point, kind of in this great conversation. And I want to take a minute, and we're going to do rapid fire questions. So for those of you who are in the audience, you know how this rolls. Tammy, it's your first time doing rapid fire. So what we do is we do a couple different questions. Say the first thing that comes to mind. This is a no judgment zone like Planet Fitness. So for those of you who don't know, I'm actually going to share my screen and show you a quick hack that I use, because I think this might be fun for some people to see. So it's a cool tool that's available. Let me show you. So on Microsoft Word, if those of you who have Word, right, I'm going to share this. So this is my rapid fire questions, just jotted down list. Now, if I come up here to the design tab, what I do, so I know what page to go to, I color them. So if you come over here to page color, you can pick a different color for the background of a Word document, especially when you're running a virtual session like this. It's a great way for me to think of things in terms of, rapid fire questions are always yellow. I don't make them red, because most fire starts with yellow or orange or whatever the case before it migrates to red and then blue, and then we won't go down the science route. But point in case, if you want to change the colors, like If I wanted to make rapid fire red, I could. But Tammy's notes are her favorite color, are green. So when you think of things like that, save your documents, especially if you're doing in a virtual setting. So I'll stop the share real quick. But I wanted to show you that so you know that that's one of my tricks so that I don't look like I'm fumbling back and forth. So, all right. So let's dive into this part. So rapid fire question 1. What's a must read book or podcast that you think everyone should listen to or read?
Okay. There will be haters out there, but I really do for podcasts. It's Oprah. Her Super Soul Sunday. I'm sorry. It's playing all the time in my car. Like I always hear something that I always do. So it's an old favorite of mine. And that's my podcast that's playing when I'm driving around doing stuff.
Perfect. Love it. Okay. So if you're not listening, Super Soul Sunday, right? Did I spell that out correctly?
Yeah.
Love that, y'all. Okay, so keep a note of that. That's a power one. All right, what's a phrase you love people to tell you, an affirmation phrase that really fills your bucket?
An affirmation for me that fills my bucket. It's literally, well, I say it to myself. It's that I'm grateful for all the abundance I have and all that I am receiving.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. So gratitude is such a powerful tool, right? Well, I'm grateful that you're here, if that helps. And I'm grateful that you get to be here. So, all right, next question. If you could give a TED Talk, what would your TED Talk be?
Oh my God. Oh, I am this TED Talk. Compassion and taking compassion steps. So I do work with a rescue organization, and I had this little dog that was hit by a car in another state, and the person who was driving the car took the dog to a vet and said, "This dog just ran up from my car. I don't know whose it is. It had a badly broken leg. It's not my dog, and I can't have a dog." So he did something that day where he could have hit a dog and kept driving, but he didn't. He took a step, and so the dog ends up at a vet. And nobody claims it. And then the vet comes in, or the dog comes into rescue. And then, our rescue organization needs to find a foster home. And I'm like, I'll take a broken legged dog. So he comes up, and it was this day I was just sitting outside with him, and he had to have surgery, and I had him for a really long time. And I was overwhelmed. I might start to cry now, because this guy who hit the dog took an action, and he didn't know where it was going to land, but he did something that he thought was right. And then the vet does something that's right, who calls an organization that can come actually do something with the dog. And then I take the dog. I couldn't keep him. He didn't actually, and our 2 dogs did not get along well. And so I loved this dog. I would have loved to have kept him, but I found him a home where, oh my God, he's wearing clothes, he had blankets, the woman fenced her yard for him. So all I'm saying is, it was in that moment where I'm like, we can all take a little step, and we don't have to know where it's going to end. This applies in life too. But from a compassion standpoint, any place where you can do some small good, you literally have no idea what's going to come next. And so I just felt this great circle of connection, because a lot of times, like, I take in foster dogs. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But I hadn't really,
that's cool.
I hadn't always seen the whole circle. So anyway, that somewhere.
That's so powerful.
Something.
No. And think about that. And that's so timely, because I know Random Act of Kindness Week is coming up here shortly. I believe it's the 13th through the 17th. And I have to tell you, it's one of my favorite. There's anything that focuses on kindness and compassion for others is by far one of my favorite times of the year to really showcase it. And I'll give a shout out to Random Acts of Kindness, and I'll drop it in the chat, but they're incredible, right? They're the Random Acts of Kindness Foundation, and I'm actually connected to their CEO, and she's delightful and sends random text messages of uplifting messages and stuff. But I will let you know that I think compassion is one of the most powerful words, which goes back to mine. To another question I was going to tell you, or ask you, I should say, but to piggyback off your story, I saw this beautiful social media post, and it was a gentleman that someone took a video of him. This man, middle-aged man, 2 kids in the middle of the rainstorm. He's fixing a kid's bike, pouring down rain, because the kid's bike broke and they couldn't get to where they were going. So this man pulled over, came out, got the toolkit out, fixed the bike, and the kid went off on the way. And the person who was observing it said, the pride that I saw in that man for doing that act, you saw these kids right away, happy as clams, right? That are just elated that the gentleman did that. But you also saw this gentleman so proud that he did something for somebody else, right? And I think about that and the addition to the story, because when we talk about it, the story, if you see the visual, it's actually an African-American man who's helping to what appear to be Caucasian kids in the rain fix this bike. And we talk about all these biases that we have of who does what and when they do it and all that. And it just completely debunks some of those myths that people and assumptions that we make, right? Some of us see color and love it and appreciate it and value it. But some of us just see a person needing help, right? And I think that's so critical for us to remember when we're showing compassion and making those assumptions. So before you and I get on the long crying route, my next question, we'll actually save that one for the end, the word question, so you can mull that over. But we'll do one more question, rapid fire right now, just to kind of think through what is a app you wish everybody would access or download?
An app that I wish everyone would access or download. I literally don't know. I'm looking at my phone. Because I don't have any super. Oh well. Okay, I did have Insight Timer. Yeah. Insight Timer I actually love for meditation and the mindfulness, and that one I think everybody could use, because who doesn't need 2 minutes out of their day at any given moment, like drop of a hat, I can hit it and go. So
it's Insight Timer.
Insight Timer, yeah.
All right, y'all, download it. Insight Timer.
That was
I'm going to edit and call it Tammy's App of the Year.
Well, if you need that little quiet time and a little ding meditation bell.
Awesome. Well, it's kind of like that meditation one on our watches, right?
Yeah.
Which I turned it off because I don't have time for that right now, which is hysterical. One of our best friends has it as well. And he's like, and he was yelling at it too. I'm like, oh my God, we're so similar. He's like, I do not have time to take a breath right now. I have to get this done. I'm like, oh my goodness, I turned mine off.
Counterintuitive about that, isn't there?
So anyway, all right. So I have to get over that and take a breath, right? So let's shift gears. We'll do a couple more of those rapid fire questions at the end. And kind of circle back, but let's talk about the fact that one of the things that we said earlier was the fact that we want people to get over it. We're all in this together, right? We're all growing. We're all developing. So I'm going to ask you something, kind of talking, this is a great quote you had, and I want to open this conversation with this. Get over yourself. We're all growing, right?
Yeah.
So this is something you've said to me a couple different times, and I always laugh about it. Remember, you don't get access to everyone else's blooper reel. So talk to me a little bit about why you think we all need to remember that we're all in the same space.
Yeah. So I very likely stole that from 1,000 people, but it was so eye-opening to me. We all know that social media, everyone should bring their best foot, showing their best selves, and everything's perfectly curated, and it all looks super shiny. And even when it's not super shiny, all those people who are like, oh, I just did this on the fly, somehow they still look amazing. They've got it all figured out, and they can say that they just did it, but whatever. I don't believe it. So anyway, when you see that, or you see someone who's, maybe they have a business that you would like, or they're doing work that you are aspiring to, and it can be really discouraging to say, oh my God, I'm never going to get there, or they have it all together. Back to, before, we don't all have it together. And so if you're not, I hate to say, if you're not growing, you're dying. I mean, I'm sure, someone's got that on lockdown too. And so just to know that you're just going to have to push yourself, and you're not seeing the behind the scenes of anyone else's business. And it feels like you're showing your blooper reel to the world. And in comparison to these perfectly curated content that everyone else is putting out, just stop. Comparison is the thief of joy. Just stop doing it.
Listen to that, y'all. Did you hear that?
Not original. Stole it. I'm a big stealer, but that one I used to have a Post-it note on the side of my computer here that just stop the comparison game. You have no idea what they're going through, first of all. You have no idea how many times they had to do whatever they're doing to get to where they are. So just stop.
No, and I agree. And I think that's one of the things, there's countless ways we all grow, right? And one of the things that we talk about a lot in education, and my students blow my mind about this, but I'm like, look, I'm not grading you against you. I'm grading the class as a whole, right? So I want to see what everybody's learning, and then we'll talk about it. And I'm grading you against your previous speech, right? Have you shown improvement? And they're like, I don't get that. I said, if you stop trying to compete with what your peers are doing, this isn't a ranking contest. Mm-hmm. This is literally a how are you doing on speech A, where you showed improvement, or on speech B, after you did speech A, are you showing a jump in your experience and your talent? What you start with, then what you grow to. And I'm excited this semester because I'm teaching part-time in online class. So there's going to be a record of everybody's speeches, and they're going to get to see that progress they make from speech of introduction till that final speech. And it's such a neat thing to watch, but be competitive with yourself, right?
Yes.
Because everybody else you don't know how many times they restarted and restarted and restarted. I did it myself. I've recorded videos, gotten a 30-minute, restart, just because I didn't like something. But if we compare ourselves to others, we are all in this together. It's okay to post. It's okay to ask a question. I don't recommend deleting it if you don't like it. But at the same token, if we stop comparing ourselves, we can start reminding ourselves. And this is another, Tammy has so many great quotes. I always laugh. And I'm like, I'm going to write that down and share it with you on our LinkedIn. But it's that idea that you can go through countless reiterations of yourself, right? You can try a post a couple different ways. I always tell the story that a post that you posted 6 months ago may not have the same effect today. A post that you post today, reposted in 2 weeks, and somebody else is going to resonate with it, right? Yep. That's the power one, right? That we can have iterations of ourselves. So tell me, when you think of that for yourself, what does that mean to you, seeing that quote that you've said to me?
I know that when we were talking, I was probably thinking about when I left corporate, and I'm going to, I was doing work already with clients, and the work that I'm doing now is much better aligned with who I am and my experience and how I can serve. And I came out in a kind of a way where I'm like, oh, this is what people are telling me they need. Like I was doing work with clients. This is what they need. Wasn't what they needed, what they actually needed. And again, maybe this is attraction marketing, maybe this is whatever, it's affinity. I've gotten to a place where the work I'm doing and the people I'm working with is way closer to, it's closer to me. It's closer to what I want to do. And so this iteration was, I came on over here and I'm doing this thing and I'm like, well, that's close, but not quite. And then I got here, and then you tweak it, and then you tweak it, and you tweak it. And it's those iterations, like we don't come out fully formed. When we're born or when we're doing anything new. It doesn't matter if it's a business. It doesn't matter if it's a new job, a new relationship. Like we're not, it's never static. So we should, not only is it okay to have these iterations, like you should expect it. And if in fact you're not, I would challenge you to say, how can you not continue to have a new refined something?
Yeah. I'm still listening to you, but I'm looking to see if I have it downstairs. I'm mailing it to a friend. So there's a wonderful book I once read, and I think I earmarked it to send to somebody I'm mentoring, but it's called the 13 Women You'll Be Before You're 35. And it talks about all these, it's a really interesting read, all the different women we become before we hit 35, right? Yeah. And we look at that, and that's middle age. If we look at the average lifespan is between 70 and 75.
Yeah. Yes.
Those midlife crises, and you could talk to college students about the quarter life crisis, and I can't even fathom what college students are going through who are graduating in a pandemic, right? Oh, yeah. It's a whole new ballgame. Yeah. But you talk about those iterations of yourself, and it's okay. People, get over the fact that you're not going to be perfect. And the you are today is not the you're going to be in 2 years from now, in 6 months from now. We all went through stuff in the pandemic, right? We all had to manage our ducks, and we all had to get through that, and we had to figure out things, and to kind of bring light to the situation. I want you to stop, pause, and ask yourself. And this is a question that I love this, and Tammy and I laugh about this a lot, but it's, Are your ducks in a row? Like, people expect you to have your ducks in a row. Think of that mother duck as she's walking across the street or going from the pond to the road, right? All her little ducklings are in a row. And it's a beautiful sight. It's one we've seen in children's books and on videos and on cartoon clips, right? But your ducks don't have to be in a row. They can be in a circle. Your ducks, they can be all over the place. I mean, they can be floating on this side of the pond and that side of the pond. And when we look at it, and I'm sure there's a biologist who will pop on and be like, no, actually, ducks do.
Yeah.
But here's my favorite joke that came through. Someone shared this with me during the pandemic. And if I'd asked Tammy 2 years ago, are your ducks in a row? Do you have everything buttoned up? No. I'm guessing she'd have said no. Do you have everything buttoned up now? Well,
I'm getting better, but no.
You ready for it? Here's where it is, y'all.
Bring
I don't even know where my ducks are.
Where are my ducks?
Where are my ducks? I want you to think about that. Some people don't even know where their ducks are, right? So you want your ducks in a row? Great. Figure it out. And it's okay. If you don't know where your ducks are, don't worry about it. So continue to remind yourself of these nuggets of wisdom. Are your ducks in a row? Guess what? It's okay if your ducks aren't. It's okay if you don't even know where your ducks are.
Yeah.
They're out there somewhere. Totally okay. And so kind of think through that, right? That you are not in this alone. And I love some of the stuff that Tammy's been sharing with us. So let's kind of recap for a second. But before I recap kind of what we've touched on, is there anything else we haven't shared, Tammy, that you feel like is resonating with you to share right now with our audience?
Well, when I think about, clients that I've worked with, and I've seen it in myself to a certain extent, that there will come these pivot points where you feel overwhelmed. Something's happening and it's not necessarily awesome. You're not loving it. And I guess I would say, if it doesn't feel quite right, like, we don't have to wait until the house is on fire. Like, we don't have to wait until it's so bad that you get to that point where you're breaking point. I think as business owners, I think as women, doing all the things or whatever, you can wait too long. Like, don't do that to yourself. If you're having those moments, like, reach out to those people in your network that can help you, that will be a sounding board for you, that will listen to you. It doesn't have to always be to crisis moment where now everything's, falling apart and now I need to solve for it. Like, I don't know, just be mindful and think, maybe I should deal with this now, or think about it now. Yes, reach out. You have people who will listen to you. And there will be people who will drink wine with you, and there will others who will tell you to get over yourself, but they're all there to support you in some way.
And I love what you said, because I think there's something that we forget, that actually helping makes us feel better.
Back to the compassion circle. Yes. Give someone the gift of helping you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right. It's my favorite story to tell on this is Bobby and I took our first flight or trip together early on in our dating. And I had been so used to traveling independently for work. For the longest time, I was used to carrying all my own luggage. Right. I just did. That's what we did. And if those of you who don't know, both my grandfather and my father and my other grandpa all had heart conditions. So they couldn't even lift certain amounts of weight. So I was just and this was when I was in middle school. Most of them had their heart attacks. So I was used to carrying the heavier stuff. I was used to traveling on my own. And we got to the airport and we left because we were going to Houston for a friend's wedding. And I got out of the car and I had, my carry-on on one side and my purse on the other. And I had my roller bag and his roller bag. And I'm like just clipping along, going to check in. And he's like, excuse me, as he's standing at the car, like with nothing. And he's like, I'm here to help you. And that's become a running joke. This isn't Houston. There is someone in this relationship who wants to help you. And we've used that joke from here on out. And people are like, what? And I'm like, no, seriously, this isn't Houston. Right. And that's our signature phrase. This isn't Houston. There are people there to help you. And that might be a post for me. Because even 10 plus years later of us being together, there are still moments where I'm like, I can do it. He's like, okay, I know you can, but I know you can do it. But sometimes it's okay that there's someone here to help you. Right. Yes. So it goes back to, it makes people feel good to help others. We actually are wired that way in our minds. There's a release of chemicals. Like when you look at a random act of kindness, and this is I'm going to chalk this up too, to the idea of kindness week coming up. Believe it, serotonin and dopamine are released when you practice kindness and give something forward. Those are the chemicals that make us feel good. It's a crazy fact, right? And you will see a post on that from me this month because it is one of the fun facts we don't think about in neurology and science and that. But when we help others, the chemicals in our brains actually thrive on that, right? So that compassion piece, when we have compassion and empathy and sympathy for others, great things happen. We actually feel better. It's why they encourage high schoolers to volunteer. It's why they set expectations for college freshmen to get out and volunteer or be part of a student organization, because that psychologically and when we look at the psychology of it and the sociology of it, that connecting to a community and giving that compassion or getting over themselves and giving back, crazy benefits. I mean, endless benefits. I'm sure we could all sit here for weeks and share those. So those are excellent points. Is there anything else that you want to share before we go into kind of that last rapid fire question?
I think I've thrown out about enough cliches for one morning.
All right, y'all. We love it. So we're going to finish up with two things, and we have a bonus for you because it is the first of the month, and we're going to give a Brenda Miller hack. So I'm going to tag Brenda and say at Brenda Miller, about to give the Brenda Miller hack of the morning. Brenda, I'm going to do this in a second because so I will do it on my page, but I want to first do rapid fire questions. So we'll do that. Take a minute to process everything we've been talking about. As wonderful as Tammy is, I cannot thank you enough. I'm so grateful you got to be my guest this morning, and the golden nuggets of wisdom you've shared are just essential. So, all right. Fun rapid fire. What's a non-negotiable you have?
A non-negotiable I have? Oh, in my relationships with people?
Or clients or colleagues or network. Yeah, what's your non-negotiable?
You just have you have to be good to animals. I'm just saying. Like no kicking puppies. There's just
That's another post for you. I should start writing these down.
Yeah. Be kind.
Be kind to animals, not people. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Well, Tammy would prefer you be kind. That's a podcast for a whole different conversation. No.
Whole different conversation.
Be kind to animals. I love that. Okay. So next question. Because it's Library Lovers Month, so fun rapid fire. What's one of your favorite memories of the library in your community?
Okay. So way back, no, we didn't do the library on the horseback. I know there's books, but there was a bookmobile when I was little. I stayed with my grandma, and the bookmobile would come once a week, and it was super cool, and it had that book smell, and you would walk up and you'd go pick out your books, and I would get my books. And it was my favorite memory. And then my grandma would take my hand and we'd walk back. And then when my mom came home from work, I would tell my mom all about the books that I just checked out that I haven't read yet, but I would tell her all about them. And then I'd read them, and then I'd tell her all about them again. So, I was the pre and the post book report. Yeah, oh my God, libraries and books. The smell of books.
Agreed. I love that story. And I vividly remember I grew up in a one traffic light town, and we also had a bookmobile, and I loved it. Right. And it parked in the bank where my grandma was president in that parking lot. And I can vividly remember it too. Now that you're saying that, I had forgotten how cool that is. And it was that excitement. You walked up from your house, you got your books, and you walk back. But there are still bookmobiles. Shout out to Jaga County Library System. They still have wonderful mobile services that actually support a lot of the more rural communities, including a lot of Amish take advantage of bookmobiles.
Excellent.
Fun fact. But I love that. So shout out to bookmobiles and Library Lovers Month. All right. Mm-hmm. Next one. Next rapid fire question. If your life was a hashtag, what would it be?
Oh my God. Life was my hashtag. Hashtag, live your life. You do you. I don't know. Like
you do you. Love it.
You do you.
Love it. You do you. That's a perfect hashtag. Perfect. All right. So I love that. So one of the Brenda hacks that I'm going to share right now is if you have a company page and you are on this call, it's February 1st. So let's talk about get over yourself and invite people to follow your page. Okay. So that's my hack of the morning. That's my best insight aside from expressing gratitude.
Challenge, Megan. Let's take it as a challenge. Ooh.
The Brenda Miller hack. Oh, the social media karma challenge. Hold on. Social media karma challenge to win hashtag social media pie, to win a slice of social media pie.
Nice.
Of social media pie. Every month, if you own a company page, you have the opportunity on the first of every month, the ticker rolls over, click, 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 and you get loaded with 100 invitations to invite your network to follow your company page.
I did not know that. I'm scribbling and I'm so excited.
No, I'll show you how to do it. Follow your page. And you can sort and organize. So, all right. So here's the challenge of the day to spread a little karma and get over yourself. People want to follow your page. So I am going to bounce back and we're going to share my screen. All right. So give me 1 second, y'all. We're going to do this together. So Tammy's going to do it on her end. So if you come over here, this is my Evlogeminos page, right? Everybody should be following this. Love this page. Love this company. Love my mission. Down here where it says invite connections to follow, do you see this awesomeness?
Yep.
Now, here's the fun part. Don't click those three. I want you to click invite more connections. Now you can sort by different features.
Genius.
Right? So if you want, I'm just going to go down here and I'm going to click marketing and advertising. I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to click check here. This is because I've already invited them last month, like everyone in my network I've invited, but we can still see. So Andy, apparently Pam is, you all are full disclosure. You can now see my network. If you see someone you want to connect with, let me know. I'm going to fly through these, right? So we do this. You can invite those four. I'm going to go ahead and no, I don't want to start a post because we're already awesome today, but I'm going to invite more connections. And here's the fun hack from Heather Taylor. Heather shared with me a secret she found out is for every person that accepts the invitation to follow, you get that invitation credit back. So if you start on the first of the month, you can continue to fill your bucket of followers. So I might scroll over here and go, you know what? I want to look at schools. So let's give a shout out. So Baldwin Wallace is in my backyard. For those of you who don't know, I live in Ohio. So I'm going to click apply. All right. Going to click this check mark and just kind of see. Oh, look at this. I'm loving all the BW people in my network. So Darlene, so we can kind of fly through all these. And just check and invite. I mean, this is the cool part. Get over yourself, right?
Yeah.
And just start inviting people. And if they don't want to, they don't have to. It's a soft. Oh, apparently my sister is on there. Y'all, this is my sister. She's brilliant, wonderful. But I'm going to go and invite. She probably won't follow my page. It's all good. Because she's never on here. She'll be like, what are you doing? But anyway. So you can do that. I'm down to 71. So keep doing this activity and sorting in all kinds of fundraise, right? It could be location. Now, Tammy, tell us where you're living right now. Where are you enjoying things?
I am enjoying a winter wonderland here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota.
Minneapolis, right?
Yep.
I'm going to apply here. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. So if we go down here again, you're going to click invite connections. I'm going to search by... Here we go. We're going to click this, see who I know, click apply. Oh, I love, look at all these people that are in my network that are up there that aren't following. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this check all box, invite those 11, click no thanks, and then go from there. So I'll finish this later, but I want to stop sharing real quick. That's my challenge, Brenda Meller challenge today. To really take a minute and get over yourself. Start sharing, start posting, start connecting, start growing, right? The only way we grow is when we get over ourselves and realize it's okay to take a leap of faith. So again, Tammy, thank you for joining us. If you haven't connected with her, please be sure to do so. And one of the other things that be sure to follow her company if you can, please. You will actually find it at Northwoods. Let me find it real quick. We had it here, but I don't know where I put it. So I encourage you, like I said, to follow Northwoods Virtual Solutions at the bottom of the page. Thank you for tuning in and have a beautiful day, everybody. Stay busy, stay blessed, and stay warm.
Thank you, Megan. Thanks, everybody.
So give it like 2 minutes. So now that thank you again for being my guest. I'm going to wrap up with this awesome thing. Bye, all.